It's hard to think about pirates without thinking about the legendary and iconic Blackbeard, a man who has since become synonymous with pirating. However, we seldom ever hear about the man Blackbeard was before he became the notorious pirate that we all know and love. Even more interestingly, we seldom ever hear about the man who set the stage for Blackbeard and would teach him everything he knew. And so enters Benjamin Hornigold, an Englishman born in the late 17th century. Though we know little about Hornigold's early life, his first signs of piracy emerge in the winter of 1713, where he and a small crew would hire canoes and prey on small merchant vessels on the coast of New Providence. Showing skill for capturing ships, Hornigold would soon establish something of a pirate base on the coast of the Bahamas, where he would soon come into possession of a 30-gun ship known as the Ranger. Considering its immense size and its fierce firepower, it would probably be one of the strongest ships in the region, making plundering and captures quite an easy task. Hornigold would employ a second in command, a man named Edward Teach, who would go on to become none other than Blackbeard himself. Teach would show a lot of heart and an ability to adapt to the nature of the waves and the ever-shifting morale of the crew. He would absorb Hornigold's knowledge and employ everything he was taught, from sailing to commandeering. In fact, he would show so much promise that Hornigold would entrust a sloop to him and even designate a small crew to him to sail alongside the Ranger. This would also prove to be quite strategic, for together, they were able to show strength in numbers and would be able to intimidate most of their prey merely by pulling up alongside them. In fact, one account has it that the pair had become such a terrifying duo that they once pulled up alongside a small merchant ship, only to steal their hats. Supposedly, the crew had been out drinking the night before and had thrown their own hats overboard. Seeking replacements, they boarded a nearby vessel the next morning, rounded up the crew, and stole their headgear. Legend has it that they didn't even take any of the ship's cargo, and left the crew without shedding a single drop of blood. Historians believe that if this event did in fact happen, then Hornigold was merely showing off his strength, that he could stop any boat that he wished, and take whatever he wished once he did. By 1717, the governor of South Carolina sent a few vessels armed with cannons to do away with the pirates in the Bahamas and to protect their own merchant ships that were sailing across the waters. But Hornigold attacked one of these ships, some saying he may have mistook it for a regular merchant ship. Others say he merely wished to express his strength and show everyone that he was unafraid of any ship sent by the government. This armed ship sent by the governor would actually try and escape the assault, and in a panic would run aground, where the captain would escape on foot. He would later report that Hornigold's fleet had increased to 5 notable ships, and had a combined crew of over 300 men. Furthermore, in 1717, Hornigold would end up sailing with another known pirate, named Captain Napping, where they would loot several ships on the coast of Jamaica, Portobello, and Cuba. However, they were soon warded off by a warship known as the HMS Winchelsea. Their partnership would be on and off for the remainder of the year, until Napping would take off on his own. But in spite of his cunning on the waters, Hornigold revered any ships that hoisted the British flag. This wasn't out of fear, however, but more so to maintain a legal defence that he was actually a privateer, serving against England's enemies and not an opportunistic pirate seeking to line his own pockets. While this served his own motives well, it did not suit the motives of the crew and his lieutenants, who didn't care about the legal defence and simply wanted more plunder. Towards the end of 1717, a vote was taken amongst the crew, where they decided that they wanted to attack any ship that they chose. Hornigold opposed, not wanting to draw attention of the British authorities and thus tarnish his name and reputation. But the crew were done pretending to be nice guys, and so Hornigold was demoted and the infamous Samuel Bellamy, who was amongst the crew at the time, replaced him. For those of you wondering what Blackbeard's take on all this was, well, he wasn't even there at this point. He was busy commanding Hornigold's second ship, and probably didn't even learn about the mutiny until the two ships reunited later that year. However, it's generally agreed that when the two ships did reunite, Blackbeard was already becoming a famed menace, and likely had outgrown Hornigold by this point. The two would part on amicable terms, and Blackbeard would sail for the Caribbean, leaving Hornigold to limp back to New Providence, now in command of a single sloop and a very small crew. It wouldn't be until the end of the year, where King George I issued a proclamation that would grant a pardon to all pirates who surrendered themselves to any governor under the domain of the British Empire. A clean slate would be granted to any pirate who turned themselves in and started their life over as an honest civilian. Having essentially failed as a pirate now that Samuel Bellamy had taken his ship and most of his crew had gone with him, settling down with what riches he had left didn't sound like quite a bad idea to Hornigold. He would end up surrendering to the governor of the Bahamas, the infamous Woodes Rogers himself. But Hornigold wouldn't settle for a boring life as an ordinary citizen. So he, in essence, sold his soul to Governor Woodes Rogers and became his very own pirate hunter. Because who better to catch a pirate than a former pirate?
You could have been a man who stood for something. But you've a killer's heart now. With nothing but metal to show for all your blunders.
A damn sight better than you, Ben. The heart of a traitor who thinks himself better than his mates.
Aye, and proven true. What have you done since Nassau fell, huh? Nothing but murder and mayhem.
You threw in with the very kind we once hated!
Hornigold would go about hunting down his former associates, Blackbeard of course being on his list. But perhaps Hornigold felt some loyalty to Blackbeard, having been the one to have effectively propelled him into his pirating career, and therefore did not seem to go after him. Instead, Hornigold became fixated on capturing Charles Vane, possibly because Woodes Rogers had a deep hatred for the man, having already used him for amnesty and then later embarrassing him on the waves during an escape. Unfortunately, Hornigold wouldn't catch him either, but he did capture a few of his associates. Woodes Rogers would nonetheless become so delighted with Hornigold's work that he would even write a letter of recommendation to the British government, highly praising the ex-pirate's abilities. In late 1719, however, Hornigold's ship was caught in a hurricane somewhere between New Providence and New Spain. According to A General History of Pirates by Captain Charles Johnson, Hornigold and his crew were cast a great deal away from land, where they perished. However, it's said that 5 of the men of Hornigold's crew managed to row back to civilization in a canoe, where they retold this story. The final moments of Hornigold's life, however, remain a mystery. As always guys, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. In our next Pirate History Explained video, we'll be looking at a man known as the Gentleman Pirate. Until the next time guys.